Hey, it's Brian here from Tracks in the Box. I've got a quick video for you today about working with pre-processed acoustic drum samples. I've been asked and seen others asking on various forums about the limitations of pre-processed drum samples. It seems that there's a perception that if you use pre-processed drums, you're just stuck with what you've got and you can't process them any further. But that's not true at all. If you're talking about pre-mixed drums with compression added to a stereo bus, you would have trouble working with it any further. But with a program like EZDrummer, which we're going to use today, each individual sample has been processed, and in the context of individual hits, compression is really just transient shaping, where the attack and the decay of each drum hit is enhanced. And of course, if a sample has a lot of added EQ, you can just EQ the frequencies you don't want back out. So using a transient shaper and some EQ, we can mold even pre-processed samples to work with any track or genre of music. Okay, we're in Reaper today. I've got this track here. It's kind of an acoustic pop folk kind of a deal. For this, I'm just using the EZDrummer 2 default kit. It's a very modern sounding kit. It's got a lot of low end, a lot of high end. The mids are kind of scooped out. There's a lot of sustain. It's a great sounding kit, but it's really more of a rock kind of a thing. And for this, you want kind of a less hi-fi sound, probably, is how I would put it. So let's hear what it sounds like in the context of this mix real quick. And soloed. Like I said, it's a great sounding kit. It's just not really right for this music. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to open the effects browser. First thing I would do is put this on original mix. The reason you do that is because EZDrummer 2, in addition to having pre-processed drum samples, has other effects built into the program that it will use on different presets. Original mix doesn't have any added effects within the program, so you're getting the most raw samples you can get. Another good thing about this preset is that you get individual outs for your 2 different kick drum mics, your 2 different snare drum mics. So here's what we're going to do. In Reaper, you would go up to Options and go to Build Multi-Channel Routing for the output of selected effects. What this will allow us to do is process each drum individually. I'm going to send both of the kicks I'm going to leave on the first channel. The 2 snares I'm going to send to the second channel. I like to have the toms on 3. And then I'll usually add hi-hat and overheads to 4 together. Put the room mic on 5. And, I'm sorry, and the mono too. And the percussion I'm not even going to worry about right now. I'm going to just mute those. And let me real quickly go down here and label these. And then I'm going to delete these channels that we don't need. Okay. So, right off the bat, what I would say is everything needs to be a little less hi-fi, maybe not so boomy, a little tighter, not so much sustain and everything. So let's start with the kick. I'm going to solo the kick. See, now that doesn't sound anything like what you'd want for this kind of a track. So, let's add some effects. I'm going to put on here a transient shaper first, and for that I'm going to use the free Audio Assault Transient. You can go to the Audio Assault website and get this for free. It's really nice. It sounds great. If you push it too far, you can make it sound not so great, but it'll work fine for this, and I'm trying to keep it to free stuff for this. So first of all, let's kill a bunch of the sustain. without. That's with. Maybe a little bit more. That's more like it. And I'm even going to take off some of the attack because it's real clicky. Next we're going to go to EQ. And for that I'm also going to use the free Mequalizer from Melda Productions. You can go to meldaproduction.com and download their free EQ bundle, or I'm sorry, their free effects bundle. And this EQ is included in there. And what I'm using this for this example is because it's got a really good analyzer built into it too. I'm going to turn off this button, which is normalizing, which I don't need. And I'm going to make a couple of settings changes here just to make things easier. First of all, I'm going to turn the averaging up to about, not one input and output, maybe 700 milliseconds. I'm going to turn the smoothness up to about maybe 7%, somewhere in there. You can see what's happening down here a little bit. Now I'm going to go to graphs. I'm going to turn off the average. I'm going to turn on maximum. I'm going to put on track peaks. I'm going to turn on microsonogram, thick, and fill area. Now with all those settings, what will happen is the analyzer kind of stays around for a little while so you can see exactly what areas you're working with. And with a kick drum that's pre-processed, you really only need to worry about two things. Down here is the boom, the body, the meat of the drum. Up here is the beater and that click that you hear at the beginning. So I'm going to turn on this button right here, which shows us our bands and the settings for each. I'm going to go ahead and turn on this band. And I'm going to make this into, by clicking on this button, a high pass. And by adjusting the Q, you can add some resonance. Just tighten up that low end some. Then I'm going to take this band that's already turned on over to here where this click is. You can see that's what this peak is. Just take some of that out. Sorry, I'm a little goofy with the mouse here today because I just got a trackpad instead of a mouse and I'm not quite used to it yet. Let's hear the difference here. I'm going to turn off all the effects. That's before. And after. Got a pillowier, fuller, not so bright and clicky, not so much sustain. Something that's more appropriate for this type of music. I can close this up now. Let's go on to the snare drum and do the same thing. Both of these two back on again. And let's take off some of the sustain there. I don't want to take off too much, I don't want to kill it. Pretty good. Now, let me go ahead and pop open EZDrummer again, because here's one of the nice things about using this setup that I talked about, the original mix. With these two mics, you can have a lot of control over the sound without even touching an EQ. If you just kill the bottom, the top is all the ring. The bottom is all the sizzle and crack. So So let's kind of even those out till it sounds close to how we want it to be. That's pretty good. Turn on the analyzer again. Make those same settings again. Turn up the smoothness. Turn up the averaging. Go to graphs. Turn this off. Maximum on. Track peaks. Microsonogram. Thick. Fill area. Now again, you can see right here is where the body of the snare drum is. This is just some kick drum bleed. This is the body of the snare, and up here is where the sizzle and the crack are. So let's add a little more body. I'm just going to use this band that's already on by default. Not too much. And I'm even going to add a little bit of sizzle here. Oops. Change this into a peak. Now let's hear the difference before and after those effects on the snare. Okay, now here's another thing we should probably address with this. What about that ring? Let's get rid of the ring. By doing that, here's what we do. Pull in the Q on this so it's nice and narrow. And turn on auto listen. And then, when you drag this around, you hear just that frequency. I want to find the ring. I want to find the lowest ring. Sounds like it's right about in there. I'm gonna take some of that out. Widen the cue a little bit. And then this EQ's got kind of a neat thing here. Harmonics. With a ring, you always have added ring above the fundamental ring of harmonics. So you can just increase this to automatically EQ those out. And I've got it on the wrong one. See if I'm killing it too much. That sounds pretty good. Let's hear the effects off on both of those. Quite so modern sounding. Here's one more thing I can say you can do. Let's go to overheads, which are also super scooped. And I'm going to add on another equalizer instance. Now generally, the area that you take out to scoop out a drum or any track is somewhere in the 400 or 500 hertz range. So I'm just going to add a little bit of that back in. I'm going to go down here to about 400 hertz. I'm going to put a real wide cue on it. I don't want it to be ugly, but I want it to be not quite so hi-fi. I'm really goofy with this mouse, sorry about that. Again, with everything. So let's listen to just the drums. And this is with all the changes we made. And this is before. Okay, this is just one style of music. Using these same principles, you can adapt it to just about anything. Just look for that area where the body of the drum is and the area where the crack or the attack is, and add more or less of it as needed, and then use your transient shaping to add or subtract sustain and attack. I hope this has been helpful. I hope it helps you mold EZDrummer to your whim to make it work for your tracks. And as always, thanks for watching.